Welcome to So You Think Your Car is Fast, where we dive into the world of high-end, fast cars and explore what it truly means to have a fast car. From the latest in supercar technology to the mechanics that make these machines go, we'll separate fact from fiction and uncover the misconceptions about speed and power that exist in the minds of the general public. Join us as we put the pedal to the metal and discover what it takes to have a car that truly lives up to the title of fast.
Well, Dodge just came out with that new Demon.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I don't know too much about that car other than that it's, what is it, Demon 170 they call it? What?
Mhm.
Why is it 170, you know?
I think it makes 1,070 horsepower.
Yes.
Of course, it's got to do it on E85.
Yeah,
It's a
that's
flex-
cool though,
flex
right?
fuel. Yeah.
And did I
So-
read that whatever car they did the review on, it was stolen shortly after?
No, really?
Man, poor Mopars, man. They get stolen all the time.
Dodge has a serious problem with the security of their keyless entry and key system. I know a little bit about this because our friend Andy with the blue GT3 had one for a few years. And what happened to him was he traded it in on the new like CTSV or ATSV. I'm not sure which one it is, but the new 6-speed V8 supercharged one. And like 2 days after he traded it into the dealer, it got stolen off the dealer lot.
Oof.
And what happened was people have hacked the key system so that you can walk up to the car with not with a real key, but with a hacked key and hop in the car and drive it away. And amazingly, Dodge's fix for this is they give you a software update for your ECU in the car. And they say, if you want to add keys to it now because you'll never be able to add them again. And they literally take a piece of software which damages the board so that it is incapable physically of learning a new key.
I worry a little about my TRX sometimes because they get stolen frequently too, but that does sound familiar.
I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. What they need to do is they need to fix their hardware and software, do a recall, and replace it. I don't know what the problem is, but wrecking people's stuff. And then, oh, by the way, if you want to ever add a key to this car again, you need to do it now before we wreck it for you. And we're going to charge you full retail price for a new key. So $300 a key, which is also ridiculous because those keys cost them less than $20. So, they've got this mistake that they've made with their stuff. And then they, try to profiteer off the customers even more. I'm not impressed at all. I mean, that's enough to keep me from buying a Dodge.
Yeah.
So going back to the roll race, Billy's car with Terrence driving versus Kevin in the yellow STO. They lined up the first time, and the way that this is supposed to happen is the left lane is the pace car, the right lane follows the pace car. So really what it should be is the left lane gets to 60 and holds it. The right lane keeps up with him and is maybe, a half to a quarter car behind him because he's just pacing, and then they get a green light. And that's just kind of considered to be, an acceptable compromise of, delta between the two cars. But what Kevin did was Kevin ignored the car on the left lane because he was in the right, and he just drove up well ahead. And then as soon as he got to the starting zone, he took off. Didn't wait for a light, didn't wait for anything, just went. And I heard it on the PA, Peter said, Kevin, that is not the procedure.
Mm-hmm.
Which I've got to say is probably the most aggressive thing, if you want to call it aggressive, because it's not, that I've ever heard him say pointed towards UGR. And I just kind of noticed that everybody around was like really sick of it. People were sick of it.
Yeah.
And they reran the second time, and he was again out ahead when he shouldn't have been, and he left early. And I think Terrence was kind of ready for it,
and he didn't care because he built his boost and left on the green light and came right around him
and just sailed right by him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I heard after the event, I got a phone call. I think the sentiment, I don't want to quote things that were said privately, but, the sentiment was that they did not want UGR to damage the event the way that they damaged Texas Invitational. And so going forward, I think there's going to be some changes in Ennis, very, very positive changes to how they do that, how they start the races. So
Good. Sounds like they might have some technology coming down the pipe.
It's a real possibility.
Okay.
What I heard was from a reliable
This
source.
is what
too.
I heard.
Reliable.
Yeah. So, the idea is to deploy a technology solution that does not require putting anything in the cars. That's purely passive, tracks everything, and
Would it light the green or not light the green? Would it take care of the human element?
yeah. So it would light
wow.
the green.
Okay.
It would also red light somebody. So if somebody left before the green light, it would also know. And it would red light them and assign. It's like right now the way they do it is, it's a 3 strikes you're out system, and or roughly thereabouts.
Yeah.
Where you mess up twice, you mess up a third time, Peter decides who wins, is what they say. And so what this would do is it would assign strikes. So if somebody is way out ahead or somebody leaves before the green, that's a strike.
Yeah, red light would be you're out. You miss. I mean, that's like a red light. Anything else? There's no second chance.
It would take the subjectivity out of it.
Yeah, that's cool.
And be able to say, look at your smartphone and see the start.
So the individual will have their smartphone on their dash to look at?
No, like anybody on the grounds.
Oh, okay.
Would be able to watch it.
They'll look at an app or something?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Huh.
Yeah, I have that capability now to do instant replay and live footage as well.
Wow, sounds exciting. Ooh.
So taking it from active, we talked about it before, right? Taking it from an active system where I have to put something in the cars, to a passive system. That's the step. But I have a pretty good idea actually of what that's going to entail.
I can't wait. Sounds expensive.
Well.
Is there going to be a subscription base, or is this?
I smile because Peter won't spend any money on it, but but I didn't get into that to make money. I got into that to make roll racing great again. So
right. Did you see the comments about? I don't know, Dan, if you saw. Someone said I got some feedback from the listeners. I thought it was funny. I'm going to have to relay it to you.
If it's the one you pasted, I think I saw it.
Yeah, it is. Dan also needs to be more excited.
Oh.
He's a big brain, but he looks bored. This listener loves your technical input, and you're super valuable. He goes, his explanation of the turbo spinning too fast is great. I learned so much, which is what keeps me coming back. So look at you, Dan, retaining listeners.
Nice
job. Well, that's great. I'm always serious. I can't help it. It's just
you have one volume and you have one mood, it seems like. Which is fine.
Well, part of it is that, every little squirrel on the squirrel cage running to keep the motor running in my head is dedicated to what I'm saying. So
do you ever get like really angry and raise your voice?
It's been known to happen, but very, very infrequently.
When he gets angry, he just says, I'm really angry.
You won't like me when I'm angry. Do you turn green?
I ask people for help. I'm like, I'm really upset. I can't do this. You're gonna have to help me. That's usually what I do.
That's not a bad way to do it.
What's next?
I am Dan the car transporter.
Oh, this is true.
Dan's got a new service.
Yes, I take cars to and from Houston,
which is great as I play musical shops with my car.
Yeah, we can't just find one shop.
We just send it all over the place. I'm not going to Hondo.
Yeah.
I feel sad.
So let's talk about this. And this is just an observation, right? You guys tell me if I'm crazy.
You're crazy.
Okay. But I saw PDK gearboxes at Texas 2K drag racing. A lot of them. So, I mean.
Porsche ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is your car not sorted? I mean, it's just an I'm like,
I
see so many 991s, 992s.
You're crazy. You're crazy, Todd. You said you told me to say that.
Here it goes.
I think I got a lot of messages when I made that post about not going to Hondo. I got a lot of messages and I've said the same thing. I didn't have anything catastrophic. I don't think there's like one big missing piece. It's like a bunch of little pieces. The problem, or at least as I understand it, with the 9972 PDK as opposed to the 991 PDKs is the way that Porsche's computers, the ECU and the TCU, communicate with one another and control the PDK.
997.2 has a different TCU than 991.
Yeah. And so when we started this build, I think the assumption was, hey, these guys are doing it on this PDK because there's so many similarities between the 9972 and 991 as far as like the engine and some of the layout and stuff like that goes. And even the hardware in the transmission is similar. So I thought I think tuning wise, we thought it was going to be a real easy deal, and it's not been that easy. I mean, I've had several tuners write transmission map files for it that have just not worked. But hey, shout out to Mitch at M Engineering for being my saving angel, whatever you want to call him, because I think his transmission map file is going to help us.
Well, he's the only one that's had good results with it so far, right?
Yeah, well, and he also went above and beyond to be able to make some adjustments as we did it. I mean, it's a cumbersome hardware process to make adjustments because you got to pull the Cyvex out, you got to put the Porsche ECU back in, and I mean it's a lot, but I think we got that, and I was excited to get out and try that in Hondo. We still have some drivability things to go through, which is just it's getting out there driving and finding where the deficiencies are. And, you know, I've changed the setup so many times in this build that it's slowed down my ability to get out there and drive and find all the details. And with the Hondo prep, I was competing with other cars that were Texas 2K prep. And, I had a couple little too much power problems happen on the dyno, and we fixed them. Not bad fixes, but it just ate up time. And I started really thinking about what Dan said about the spin, spin, spin to the spin, spin, clank. And when I talked to Wayne, we had scheduled to work on some of the launch control and transmission tuning, but we need dry surface to do it. And it decided to rain the day that we had planned, and I didn't have more time to get with him. And so we just decided, let's get it ready for the next event. Because I'm tired of, I told Nicene, she sent me a message. I'm tired of running my car at 85% at these events.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always have some big looming issue that we work around it so I can run these events. But next one, I want it sorted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're not crazy.
Okay. It's just a matter of taking the time, knocking it out.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really has 997.2 as nailed down as the other ones. Although, you know, we've seen recently another car that is running really well on the 997.2. So, you know, I think that's kind of helping draw that out and saying, you know, we need to, not at nearly the power level though, but that, you know, having control over the parameters and such. So we need to kind of reconcile that a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it's taken the tuner world community is interesting, and I don't always understand it, but there's a lot of tuners that work together and share information, and there's other tuners that don't, and I get it, right? Like when you have some kind of niche market where you have something figured out, I mean, your R&D isn't free, but so I know there's a lot of tuners kind of crunching numbers and looking at stuff, and there has been some progress. So I'm excited about that.
Well, they're like networks, right?
Yeah.
You know, there's like tuner A, tuner B, and tuner C. They don't talk to D, E, and F.
And there's one 9972 out there that seems to have it all figured out, but I don't believe that's in our network. Other than that, there's a couple, and when I say couple, I literally mean two other 997.2s that are making, you know, 4-digit horsepower that are either in the finalized stages or in the building stages right now. And other than that, we're out there by ourselves.
Yeah, the 991s are real popular now, and then, you know, most of the 997s that are running are all 6-speeds. So
yeah, and you know, I mean, I love my car and I already have it, and here I am. If I did it again, I don't know. I guess it depends on what day you catch me on, right? Like having something unique that nobody else has a certain appeal, but it is just other days. You know, if you catch me the day after I break down in my neighborhood, only to realize that my car was just out of gas, which is just embarrassing to admit. But I could show you a picture. It doesn't look like it's out of gas, okay? So whatever. But on that day, I would not be excited about building a 997.2.
Well, the fuel gauges are tricky because the you know, in Porsche's infinite wisdom, there's a
I know it's a glitchy situation.
It only actually measures the fuel tank at above
half and
tank.
above.
Below half tank, it uses data from the ECU, or in Porsche speak DME, to figure out how much gas is left.
Yeah, and I knew that wasn't a new concept, but the difference was My 996, when I was below that half tank threshold, and either we did a flash or a computer disconnect or something, it would default and go to empty and the light would come on. Right. My 997-2, when we had our issue and battery disconnect, it's like the gauge just stayed where it was previous to the disconnect. And I'm not even sure that it was moving after that. Last night, I drained the garbage gas out of it that I had and put some fresh ethanol in there. And I was a little worried. I was like, man, am I going to do this and find out the gas gauge doesn't work? But it did. We're good.
So you fired up and everything's fine.
Everything's fine-ish.
Okay, what's the ish?
I
Ish.
don't. There's probably not an issue. We're working on it.
Confidence level low.
Yeah, but wait. Let me just. I realize this is a me thing. When my car breaks down on me, I just lose trust, and it's like I have to start this whole trust relationship over again. And
You've got to earn the trust back.
I was texting with Steve today, and he's like, "It's not a problem, man. You're just don't worry about it." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I mean, me not worry. I mean, come on." So
Yeah, when people tell me not to worry, I worry. When Steve tells me not to worry, I don't worry. I really don't.
yeah, no, I know. So, but yeah, now the name of the game is let's get everybody involved in prepping this car to work with last minute intensity, without actually being last minute prep.
Yeah, so I think what we need to do is we need to announce a race for
Streetcar
May.
Takeover in Ennis.
When is that?
It's like 4 weeks away.
All right, we're going.
Yes, we're going.
Exactly, we're going.
Yeah, I want to be ready for that event.
Yep, I like this plan.
What?
We're just going to tell everybody we're going. That way we can get the cars done. Because, it's like Taylor said before, it doesn't matter what task you have, it will fill all timelines.
I love this idea.
Yeah. So, but I would say let's create our own event.
There's an event in Puerto Rico. I got to get there.
But he's actually got one, so that's perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Streetcar Takeover, 4 weeks, get her done.
My tire guy told me about it yesterday, because in this whole Hondo rush to be prepped, somebody messed with my trailer when it was in storage and it's missing parts, and I had to fix it and then had to get the tires replaced. I mean, I was really, really hustling to be ready, and I just finally threw up my hands and was like, I'm done. Not going to Hondo.
So it's a big open field, I guess, where you store your trailer?
No, it's a locked storage facility.
Oh, wow.
You know the little trailer breakaway, the safety brake cable?
Yeah.
And I learned a lot how they work. I've never had to mess with one before, but somebody pulled my cable out of the controller.
Okay, so you just need to buy a new one.
Yeah, I did. But when I went not the middle of the night, but it was probably 9:45 p.m. when I got up there to get my trailer. Okay. I go in the dark, and then I'm like, well, this isn't here. So the problem is when that's out, that's when your brakes are engaged. And I was like, okay, I got to figure this out in the dark. And I had a zip tie in my truck. I folded the zip tie over so it's a little thicker and shoved it in between the two electrical contacts.
Mm-hmm. So, and hope it didn't fall out as you're driving down the road.
It didn't. Oh, it wasn't coming out, man. That's the crazy thing. It wasn't wind that blew it out. Those things they don't go in and out easily.
No, someone took it. You got to yank them pretty hard. Yeah.
I had somebody back into my trailer in one of those storage places and break the lights on the side of it. Yeah. I don't keep it there. I don't really like keeping it outdoors anyway, but there's not much we can do about it.
Is yours stored indoors at FP, Dan?
His is not.
He's frozen.
Oh, yes, he is.
Oh, how funny.
No, I'm just messing with you. But my trailer has been stolen once already, so I didn't want to say where it was.
Oh, that's right. It was at Roberts.
So I froze. The hamsters were running, trying to think of what to do.
Yeah, so just lots of little things, and I'm sad, because I have a special place in my heart for the Hondo event.
I am really disappointed. I really wanted to go.
I know. Well, and then there was a threat of some rain on Sunday, which I was just like, it was just.
And that's of the four, the dustiest of all the runways, isn't it? I remember traction was tough there.
Hondo was the very first event I went to spectate at, and it was also the first event that I ran my car at.
Oh, okay. So that's why it's special.
It's special.
I like the setup there. I like the hotel. I like the town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like everything about it. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, so I will only make 2 events this year.
Well, you're still going to Indy. You just don't know it yet.
That's what I heard. Rumor has it.
Okay. Maybe you can take my car up there for me and just park it, you know.
Hey, the transport service is in business.
We could go and try to blow a turbo up there for you again.
Force Performance said I've reached my allotment of turbos.
Oh,
You're
boy.
there next, Todd.
I think I'm there now.
Yeah, your thing is I didn't get to give any of mine back, so they weren't quite as opposed to me getting new
Buying
turbos.
more. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you need either a 95. What? No.
95, 69.
I think you need a 95 64S or a 95 69S.
What's the difference between the two?
5 millimeters of wheel size on the turbine.
Before you buy those,
This is Taylor trying to figure out how not to reveal what his turbos are.
Should I just call Robert and say, hey, give me Taylor's turbos?
I mean, I don't know because we're yet to see if, because originally mine were an X3C cover. We put an X4C cover on them, but we haven't had enough dyno time to see if it alleviated some of the surge issue that I had.
Well, I mean, ultimately what we're going to have to do with yours is one of the things we talked about before, which is allow the turbo to bypass air through the engine, whether it be, straight out the intake piping or what, like a blow off valve scenario might be the
and one thing that alleviated that too was letting me rev a little bit higher, so Todd might not feel that issue with as high as he's going to rev anyway.
I mean, either way, with the G40s, he's going to have that problem too. They're large.
Yeah.
But with the Xona, you're going to get a lot more response out of it. And that almost is like, it's almost a bug that's also a feature. It's like it's both, because it does have the capability to spool up so much quicker. And when it does, it can run into the surge line and have problems. So we'll have to really get attention on the cam timing in the car and make sure that it's set up right, and then maybe even end up having to bypass some air around the engine just to keep the turbos in the right flow range.
Hey, I will say though, although I guess it's the same turbine housing on my old turbos, my 7164s, when we changed to bigger ones, I did expect a lot more lag, and I was pleasantly surprised. It was not as much as I expected.
When you went from the 70 what?
Yeah, the 7164s to my magical secret turbos now.
To the 95s.
I went from 65s to 71s to 82s, and there is a difference between the 65 and the 82, but it's not huge. I mean, it's not as snappy is what it is.
Yeah, maybe for this episode, it's my big turbo reveal. I have 95 64s.
I figured we were just going to edit that out, but
damn it.
I mean, maybe we can get some viewers or some subscribers or something on this, channel.
Will you do me a favor and measure your turbos? Because I need to know how big they are. If I'm going to buy them, I need to know how big they are.
I have the spec sheet.
Yeah, and
they are so a 64 is in an X3C cover is exactly the same dimensions as an 82 64 in an X3C cover, which is exactly the same dimensions as a 95 64 in an X3C. Mm-hmm. The only difference the only thing that changes is you can put the bigger compressor cover on it, which changes things ever so slightly because it has a bigger inlet and a bigger outlet.
What's the difference between those and the 95 69?
Well, the 95 69 is a bigger turbine wheel. Same compressor side, bigger turbine wheel.
Mm-hmm.
So all things being equal, it'll flow more up top and it'll respond slower at the bottom.
Okay. Yeah, I need to talk to Robert.
Yeah, you do. I mean, I know what he's going to tell you, I think. I think he's going to tell you to get 95 64s.
Yeah.
Well, you want to make 1,800 horsepower. That's your number, right?
Okay.
Or 1,700.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the turbo for that.
Okay.
And that's one of those sizes that just works really, really well, like better than you would expect. There's all kinds of crazy stuff that goes into it. There's There's, you know, harmonic resonances at different speeds that make weird things happen, and that's really the problem with the Garrett. There's a harmonic resonance that happens right around 130,000 RPM, and that turbo will that G35 turbo will explode right around 130,000. If you run it at 130,000, that's why they say the speed limit's 128. Incidentally.
What happens if you do 177,000?
But so here's the interesting thing. If you're at 135,000 RPM, that Garrett turbo is fine. Don't spend a few seconds at 130. Just push right through it. And so that, you know, that's what kind of got me saying that it's a compromise of a design. I was trying not to give away too much information about it for recording purposes, but it will come apart. And the way the trim is on the Xonas, they're a lot more disparity between the intake and the exhaust side of the compressor wheel, essentially. And it does a lot better as a result. And even the guy that I know that I would like to get him on here, we need to, you know, I was kind of referring to him as the mysterious turbo engineer, but he works for a large OEM that.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yep. That does tractors and that sort of thing. And he goes to dinner with the Garrett folks when they're making deals on, you know, what turbos they're going to put on their new tractor. And he just knows a ton about it. He knows more. He knows more about it than anybody. Maybe even Robert. I don't know. But, you know, he tells me that the Xona stuff in that size range will work better than the Garrett offering. But I don't like to tell you what to do because I'm biased. So I try to stay out of that.
Here's the thing with bias, though. It doesn't always mean you're wrong.
It doesn't. It doesn't, but I don't like
be on the right team. You know, there's nothing wrong with that.
I don't like to push things on people.
I mean, look, I'm in a position where I don't have any room. There's no physical room to put this turbo.
I mean, I guess there's a reason why Joe put that one where he put it, because they're not that different in size.
The 42.
Yeah. They're both mid-frame, so they're probably pretty similar.
Yeah, I guess.